Episode 2, Shadows of the Crown. The moon hung low over the jagged peaks of Highland, casting long silver shadows over its rugged terrain. Lorcan stood at the edge of a wind-swept cliff, the howling wind pulling at his worn cloak. Below, nestled deep in the heart of the mountain's embrace, the warriors of Highland trained in silence. Their movements were sharp, almost ritualistic, each sword swing a memory of battles past, each breath a promise of the wars yet to come. But Lorcan's thoughts were elsewhere. His mind replayed the last words of the dying seer, whose blind eyes had stared directly into his soul. You are the mountain's roar, the storm's air. One day the crowns shall kneel. The prophecy haunted him, like a puzzle with missing pieces he couldn't yet grasp. In the dim light of the training barracks, Ronan, the one-legged veteran whose name echoed like legend in Highland, leaned over a worn-out war map that stretched across the wooden table. His scarred fingers tapped each of the 5 kingdoms: Ironwall, Valamont, Seahold, Shadowmind, and Highland itself. Strength isn't always in the steel you wield, Ronan said, voice gravelly from too many winters. Sometimes it's in what you choose not to strike. Lorcan studied the map. Shadowmind doesn't border us directly. No, Ronan replied, his gaze tightening, but shadows need no borders. They crawl where light grows thin. Before another word could be spoken, a horn's shriek cut through the mountain air. Trouble. A small Highland village near the southern ridge had been attacked. Lorcan rushed to the site alongside a squad of Highland warriors. The attackers had vanished by the time they arrived, leaving behind smouldering huts, wounded villagers, and a strange mark burnt into the ground. A twisted, curling sigil scorched in black ash. Lorcan knelt, brushing his fingers across the cold earth. Not Highland, not Valamind. It was unmistakable. Shadowmind. Tension gripped Highland like an iron vice. Inside the stone walls of the great hall, torches cast flickering shadows across the faces of warriors and nobles. Queen Elara of Valamind had arrived just hours earlier for a diplomatic summit, a bid to prevent war with words, not blades. But now the blood on Highland soil had changed the game. Highland bleeds, yet we are blamed, said Elara calmly, a voice like cool water over fire. She stood draped in regal silver and blue, flanked by her personal guard. Shadowmind poisons from within. If we do not unite now, we fall, one by one. Before a reply could be offered, the heavy doors of the hall groaned open. King Aldric of Ironwall marched in unannounced, the echo of his boots sharp and deliberate. Behind him stood 5 Ironwall sentinels in blackened steel. We traced spies across the eastern border, Aldric declared without pleasantries. Straight into your territory, he pointed at Queen Elara. And now Valamind arrives conveniently after an attack. Highland's elders murmured in suspicion. Queen Elara's eyes flared, but her tone remained controlled. Be careful, Aldric. Accusation without proof is a sword without aim. The temperature in the hall dropped with every word. Tempers rose. Accusations sparked like kindling in dry air. Then came silence. It spread like a wave, unnatural, chilling. A breeze that had no source swept through the chamber, snuffing several torches. And then, from the far corner of the hall, a figure emerged. A man in grey robes, his face obscured by a shadowed hood. No one had seen him enter. The torches reignited. No one moved. The figure raised a single hand, and without speaking, his voice echoed in every mind. The enemy has already breached the roots of all kingdoms. Look not to each other in suspicion, but beyond the veil. As suddenly as he appeared, the figure vanished, leaving behind a faint trail of silver smoke and an emblem of a broken circle etched in glowing light. Ronan whispered in disbelief. The circle of magicians. That night, Lorcan found no rest. He climbed once more to the mountain cliffs, accompanied only by the lion his father had once trained. There, beneath the sky, Kill his father waited. You felt it too, Cale said. Lorcan nodded. I saw the mark. I heard the voice. Cale placed a calloused hand on his son's shoulder. You've seen blood. Now you'll see chaos. But remember, Lorcan, this prophecy isn't about ruling. It's about binding what's broken. Lorcan didn't speak, but something had shifted in his eyes. A glint of understanding, or perhaps inevitability. By morning, the first stones of alliance were cautiously laid. Valamind offered intelligence. Ironwall pledged limited troops. But Highland would remain the front line, the unspoken shield of the kingdoms. But miles away, in a hidden chamber beneath the obsidian towers of Shadowmind, a group of masked figures gathered around a scrying flame. "They gather," one of them whispered, voice as thin as a dagger's edge. "Good," said another. "Let them think unity is hope." The flames shifted, revealing a fractured crown. "When the blade falls, it will fall on all." And somewhere within the shadows, the rogue magician who had once stood among the circle smiled. The storm had only begun. End of episode 2, Shadows of the Crown.